other people it almost sounds like the animal. So I'm going to try, but yeah, I'm sorry. Please don't make too much fun of me. So a big rhino bull will go like this. I know it is ironic, but that is how rhinos go. They also have other sorts of noises, but this is probably because I spent so much time with one, the only one that I can make. I am terrible with lions. Can't even try to do a lion or a leopard roar. I wish I could, and I have practiced, but yeah, I just suck at it. But I hope that was good enough for you. Alright, we're gonna carry on. I see another vehicle. Okay, we are going to quickly go have a look at what Brent has got over there. I think he was being a bit impatient and he's bit me to the race, but we'll forgive him because he gave me lion cubs. Oh, if only we had come from this angle, we might have seen him. Hello, Brent. Thank you. Now I do. We came from a different angle, so we couldn't see it. You see, we can't. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to keep it with some Ellies.
Okay, all right. Enjoy the Ellies. I'll see the big belly that's right there. Okay. Okay. He's never going to let this one die. He's always going to tell me how he found the lion. Alright, so I don't know which side might work better for us. We might try to move. But there is a male lion over there. We can see it now because we can see his big fat belly, although not as big as the ones for the other ones. And just in between the branches there, we see a bit of a mane. Now, I don't know the lions of this area too well, so if any of you guys actually manages to identify it for us, then that'll be pretty cool and very impressive, seeing we're not even seeing all of its face. But we'll see. He did choose quite an uncomfortable spot, and probably the smallest piece of shade possible. Thank you everyone for the compliments of my rhino imitation. I am very, very, very mortified that that went public. But rhinos need to be heard. Yeah. Maybe one day when I'm bigger and have found more voice in me, I'll be able to do a lion. Hopefully one day talk to them. Ask them why they have to sleep when we want to see their faces. Kirsten from Denmark would like to know if Ali is my real name or if it's a nickname, as everyone in South Africa seems to have a nickname. Yes and no. So my real full formal name is Alexandra, but that is very long, and normally I only get called Alexandra by my parents when I'm in a lot of trouble, which has happened once or twice before. But in my country, or in Spanish, I'm actually known, or my nickname is Ali. But for some reason, it is very hard to say it in English, or for the people that I've met here in South Africa. So it's sort of just evolved onto Ali, because I spell it A-L-E, like ale, like a beer. But no, it is my name, so now when people call me Ali, I just straight away look around. There isn't much of an interesting story, just sort of what had happened with the different languages. And now back to this big boy who still doesn't have a name because we're not too sure who he is. But hopefully at one point, now that it's starting to be nice and cool, then he'll wake up, or at least show us a part of its face. So I don't think the view from the other side is going to be that much better. Alright. Seems like today we've got some beautiful clouds around, so let's go over to Brent and see the pretty sunset that we're sharing all the way from South Africa today.
So it's quite interesting what we're looking at there. You can see the smoke on the bottom and the clouds up high. So what's happening, wherever that fire is, the smoke is getting high enough to get into where the winds that are moving the clouds up, and it's very high. So you can just see that. So that's a combination of smoke and cloud. Now I'm guessing this is actually a sugarcane fire. Now, as I was talking about fire being quite important in the African bush and in other areas as well, the Brazilian Pantanal is also a fire climax area. But now the biggest problem with that is that traditionally or naturally what would happen, there wouldn't have been people, or there would have been people, but there wouldn't have been the amount of people that are currently living in these areas and in the world. So a lightning strike would have generally set a fire, and it would have probably burnt 2 million, 3 million acres before it petered out. Lovely, look at that with the light shining on his horns. Don't move, big boy. How's that? We got the gap. There we go, look at that. But the one thing this is doing is creating some absolutely exquisite light. Nice big kudu bull. Now, most animals are able to escape from a fire quite easily. Occasionally, things like tortoises and stuff get burnt. But what happens normally, and in the past out here, is you would have flash fires almost. So right at the beginning of the rainy season, when everything's still dry before first rains, a bolt of lightning would ignite the bush, and then what happens is you get a very hot, very fast fire. So it burns very quickly through an area. So things like tortoises and rodents can generally get out of the way of those, or the fire burns so quickly it passes over them without doing too much damage. Now, what have you spotted, Kudu? No, just listening. So, but now because of people, we do have to do controlled burns, and even places like the Kruger National Park will do controlled burns, and you generally will burn an area and then you'll leave it for 2 or 3 years before you burn it again. Now, before, obviously, if 1 million acres burnt, it's not a problem, the animals would have just moved. But of course now, with the amount of people there are in the world, there's only so many places they can move to. So to keep the bush as healthy as possible, controlled burns are very important in this part of the world. Okay, so we're going to head towards Red Dam. Fingers crossed for elephants. Let me just check what's happening on the Arathusa Game Drive channel. Okay, so just listening. Ooh, sounds like there could be some excitement. Okay, give me 1 second to chat quickly. Said. Oof, busy on the radio here. Afternoon stations in the west, Brent from Wild Earth, anyone copying? Just looking for an update for Safari and Dow, please. Unfortunately, we don't have Old West yet. We are in the process of getting it. Standing by. Sorry, 1 second. Copy, thanks Rhino. I've just come in, I'm heading towards Rendam. Would you like me to just keep a look on the road as I head towards that Ndlov? Copy, thanks very much. Okay, so update received. Shadow was spotted and then disappeared into this very thick area here. So we're going to have a look, and apparently there's only been one elephant seen, so maybe we'll bump into that while we look for the leopard. So our beard's wondering how many different game drive channels are there in the northern Sabi Sands, which is where we are. Let me just turn that down a bit. There is the northern channel, which operates on Djuma. Then we've got the western channel, which is Arathusa, Elephant Plains, Sibambili. And there's another line of sight channel called Old Western, which is for talking line of sight, controlling a sighting that no one's going to. Then there's the eastern channel, and I think there's one more that I can't remember. We only really operate on 2. The wind that's bringing those clouds and that smoke in. Ah, now he wasn't here this morning, but there was a fish eagle. But now let's just always make sure I always check around the corner in case there's a leopard sleeping or drinking in the corner, but there's not. Hello, hippopotamus. This hippo, a little bit happier than the one we saw earlier, as he's got some nice water about him. Oh, this wind came out of nowhere. Oh, snoozing. Well, we're going to leave the hippo, who's probably the safest from fire, in the middle of the water. And still speaking about fire, Iggy would like to know, have I ever had to evacuate my home or any of the lodges I've worked in because of fire? No, I have not. So what I have done is stopped fires before they've got to lodges, and there's a very simple way to do it. What you do is, if a big fire is coming, you set a controlled back burn. So what I do is I've lit a fire, go and let it burn towards the oncoming fire, so when they meet, there's nothing more to burn. That's one of the best ways to fight fire, is, believe it or not, to fight it with fire. And of course out here we don't have big fire engines and things like that to use to fight fire. So one of the most effective things if you're in a rush when it comes to fighting fire is a gory bush. It makes a very good beater. You cut those branches off. It's also quite fire retarded, so it doesn't get burnt. So I'm just going to keep, so Shadow was seen up here but heading this direction. So we're going to keep checking very carefully around here, and while we do that, let's go see Ali and the Birmingham Boy.
Seems like he decided to finally cooperate with us, and he's rolled around and taken his head off that guari bush where he was lying in. If I had to take a guess, I would assume this is one of the Birmingham Boys, but again, you guys know them a bit better than me, so if you can help me out with the ID while we're looking at him, that would be great, because then we know who we're looking at. He did seem to have a bit of a bite mark just on his tail. It seems like a bit of an old wound, so I don't know if that could potentially help in some of the ID, or if the wound is actually a new one. And also when he rolled around, there was a bit of a gash. Nothing to worry about, nothing too serious, but it could be the reason why he's decided to just take it easy and stay by his lonesome self and just enjoy a bit of peace and quiet away from all those cubs. The wind has picked up a little, so every now and again he will put up his head. So I'm hoping he'll do that for us again, because I'm sure he's just busy picking up all of the different scents and smells that there are around, potentially to find out where the rest of his pride or his group of males are. James Richard would like to know how the sunsets in South America compare to the ones in South Africa, because South Africa has got apparently the best ones. Well, funny enough, where I'm from, the savanna, the landscape and everything else looks very much like South Africa. So I would say that they are slightly similar. They're not too bad. We even have some species of acacia around. So, I don't know, I suppose the best sunset is where you're feeling happy. So right now, probably South Africa has got it, but I might give you a different answer if you ask me once I'm back home. That is quite a funny sunset we're having today. I do believe Brent showed you guys the sunset. It's just been interesting how the clouds have all of a sudden pulled in and there's a lot of wind picking up. So I wonder if maybe this wind is bringing the last cold snap of the season. Might just signal that we are done with our winter days and off we go to summer. You see all those beautiful clouds there. I must say, James Richard, that this is one of the prettiest sunsets I've seen. So I think South Africa is winning for now. All those clouds are just incredible. And all the different colors and just the red starting to shine through and a bit of pink, but then we've also got that beautiful blue at the back. I don't know, I need to learn to take better photographs to be able to capture this type of moment. Debbie, you would like to know about my favorite trees. I have a few favorite trees, but unfortunately the one that is my ultimate favorite, I haven't seen it around today. Otherwise I would have shown it to you guys. And part of the reason why that is because that tree likes growing in drainage lines or in areas where there's a lot of water or in dry riverbeds, and I haven't seen too many around here. Maybe there are some, but I just haven't seen it. And my favorite tree is called the sycamore fig. The reason for it is because, well, there is a whole documentary that was made about the sycamores, and they call it the queen of trees. Because what is very interesting about this particular type of tree is that not only it's beautiful and it's got this gigantic branches and it's got like a bit of a yellowish color to it, but they produce a fruit that is pollinated by a specific fig wasp that goes in, and we're talking about something tiny minuscule because the fruit is only about this big. And then she goes in, and then they pollinate it, the fruit comes, and what is interesting is they all flower at different times of the year. So they're always producing fruit for everyone around who would want to eat it, and it's very nutritious. So by far, one of my favorite trees. There is one particular tree in the southern area of the Sabi Sand, which is, if you ask any of the rangers down there, close to the, well, it is actually on the dry riverbed of the Sand River. It's incredible. It's probably 500-800 years old, and it is, I think, on Earth, that one, that's my favorite tree. I think, without a doubt. This boy over here, on the other hand, I think he just picked whichever tree he could find so that he could lay underneath it. And it is a guari bush, what he's lying under. And he just seems to be very placidly still looking around, not too bothered with life, probably just enjoying the breeze. Which is picking up quite a bit now. Yeah, he is definitely not too bothered. Like I said, he seems to have a few injuries, but they all seem quite old. But nothing that's too worrying or nothing that he actually seems too concerned about. I am hoping he will put his head up, but while he does, why don't we just go over to Brent and spend some time with him.
So I just bumped into my good friend Ryan, who said that elephant went up this way. So we're just checking, making sure he didn't duck down back into the Mauritania drainage system or little dry river system. Now the wind's picked up, so there's quite a bit of dust around. If you see Zander's hand come in front like that, it means he's just trying to make sure you have the clearest, most sparklingly beautiful picture possible. Now, the one thing about this dust, the wind, the smoke, it is creating the most beautiful light, and I'm really hoping we catch up. Apparently it's quite a big elephant bull, and everyone knows how much I love a big Eddie bull. Okay, so we are on Chololo Road, and that is where Ryan suggested the best place to find that elephant was. Now we're hedging our bets a little bit because Ryan and Sean are looking for shadow not too far away from here. So if they find her, we might be able to nip in there. Now, we are on private land here, and Wendy's wondering, are private cars allowed to drive everywhere we drive? Not at all. Oh dear. I found the elephant, but it is not in a good place. You see him there, right on the crest of the hill. You see him there. He's moving parallel to us, heading towards the sun on the top of the hill. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn around, get to another road. Might catch up with him there. Sorry, Wendy, I got sidetracked. The Ellie's there, but he's gonna disappear over that ridge, and I want to get to where we can see him. So, Wendy, private vehicles are not allowed to drive around here. Unless it is the private vehicle of the person who owns the property. So even if you're a guest or whatnot coming in, you drive in on the main access road to the lodge, park your car, and then from then all your exploration is in open game drive vehicles. It is part of the Greater Kruger National Park, not the Kruger. Now of course the Kruger you are able to drive yourself around, but in the Greater Kruger is private land, it's privately owned, but there's no fences between the national park and where we are. Now, the joy of being on private land, we're allowed to do a few things that you can't do when you just drive into the national park. We're allowed to off-road, so we can follow lions hunting through the bush, whereas if you're in the Kruger, when the lions cross the road, that's it, that's done. Unless you are in one of the private concessions. So Kruger has areas like this, it's still again no private vehicles allowed. It has to be one of the lodge's vehicles, where the lodges pay the national park a fixed amount a year, and then they're able to operate like we operate in the Sabi Sands. Now the reason that only certain people are allowed to drive off-road and through the bush is because, could you imagine, I think there's about, I've even forgotten, there must be close on 5 million visitors to Kruger every year, all driving themselves around, most of them, and most people there are not safari guides, so they don't know which trees you can drive over, which soil types you can drive over, and when, and all those type of things. So that's why generally to off-road you're going to be in a private concession or on a private reserve, and even then the off-roading is regulated. You don't just off-road for anything, but also all the guides have training, heavily experienced. You know that see, for example, this area we're coming up to up ahead, now it's completely 100% fine to off-road, but if there's been even 10 mils of rain, this area becomes a bad area to drive. You'll sink through, you'll stop the flow of water down the seep lines, and I mean it's quite specialist knowledge that most people won't have. So that's the reason you can't just let people drive wherever they would like. And also, if you worked at the Kruger, or if you worked here, if you let people drive wherever they'd like, we'd all spend our lives getting people unstuck. Okay, I'm hoping that we catch that elephant before he crosses our boundary. And he was heading due west towards the setting sun. I'll be very happy if we succeed in this endeavor. I have been looking for elephant for quite some time. I do love this time of the year. The light's fantastic. You can see miles into the bush. Makes it much easier to spot creatures. And also, one thing that we might get very lucky with in this drought is it is in these type of conditions where you see some weird and wonderful things like pangolins, aardvarks moving around earlier. Okay, so we were just over there and that elephant was moving this way. Let's have a look. You got him. Ah, well spotted, Zander. Well, I think this is different elephants, but we'll take them. This is a breeding herd. The one I saw was just a single bull. Well spotted, Zander. Let's see if we can get a nice view. Hello, Ellies. Here we go. We're not going to go too close. Elephants can be a bit nervous in the wind. Now, Mark's wondering, do the reserves ever use drones to find animals? Not currently, Mark. We generally do it the old-fashioned way by tracking on foot, but we are looking at, for nighttime, using thermal imaging drones that fly very high to help us find animals and film lion hunts in the dark, which would be very exciting. Well, they're busy eating off what looks to be, yes, it is indeed an acacia. Can actually hear the wind buffeting around. Samantha, hello and welcome on this gorgeous sunset safari. Samantha would like to know, is the African elephant the largest species of elephant? It is indeed, Samantha. I'm going to try to see if we can get us a slightly better view. And I also want to keep checking to see if that big bull is going to be coming in from that area up there. Okay, there we go. How lucky are we? We're right in the corner of the edge of our traverse. Let's have a look at the little one. Just need to call them in on the radio. Some drove just to the south of Boundary Pan. Deb in Vancouver is wondering, how scared will elephants be? Do you see that trunk there? Go back, go back. I just, no, back to the little one. There. I just saw a trunk come out of the bush there. Let's see if it does it again. I didn't even know there was another elephant there. I just suddenly saw a trunk. Of course, now it's not going to do it. But sorry, Deb. Deb, it all depends on how close the fire is. I've seen elephants continue feeding while a fire blows past them. There we go, there's it, it's coming out. There's the culprit whose trunk popped out earlier. So we're going to sit here, watch these Ellies for a bit. In the meantime, let's go see how Ali's doing with the Birmingham Boy.
While we're busy enjoying the sunset, it seems like he is very busy enjoying his nap. Every now and again, he opens his eyes just to let us know that he's still around and he's very much alert of what's going on around him. But he's not too interested in waking up just yet. So we've been sitting here patiently, just for the hopes of him lifting his head. I am not too sure if anyone's been able to identify him or recognize who he is. Hopefully one of the Birmingham boys, because should it be a new male lion in the area, that could mean a bit of a unrest and unsafety for the cubs. Because as a lot of you may know, normally new male lions in the area, they, as a way of trying to get the females to mate with them and establish themselves in a particular area, they tend to kill the offspring of the previous males. However, if it's just one of them, I don't really think he would stand much chance against 3 of the 4 of the Birmingham boys. I must say, this spot is getting better by the minute. I think he was very wise and chose it well. So you see, despite the fact... Ah, well, hello. Seems like somebody is raising his head, maybe smelling some of the little things around. Yes? It seems that there was nothing really too interesting or to bother him around. So he's going to carry on sleeping and just pretty much enjoying doing nothing. It is quite amazing though. I know we have spent quite a bit of time with sleeping lions today, but at night or in the mornings when you go out and look for them after a whole night, you can just appreciate how much they actually can walk in a night, sometimes covering up to 14, 15, 20 Ks, and it's quite amazing because they'll do it in a very short span of hours. Him, however, he doesn't seem too bothered with life, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave him here to his nap and we're gonna go back onto the rest of the pride, see what they've been up to and what they are getting up to now. Now that the temperature has gone down a bit, there's a bit of breeze picking up, maybe they're a bit more active and playing around, and hopefully as well feeding on the carcass. So let's leave this guy here and just go have a look and see what else is happening. Now again, Dave will let me know where to go, because I still have no idea where we are. I do know that we're going in that direction, roughly. Okay. So at least my bearings are not too bad. Alrighty. Let's go past that wonderful tree again, that iconic Balanites that everyone talks about. Alright. So we're gonna take a right. Okay, good, because we don't like driving against the sun because we can't see anything. And then we'll carry on. Jean, unfortunately, I have never seen any animal give birth. I have arrived moments after, but I've never seen the whole thing happening. The only one that I've been very, very close to has been an impala during the initial rains or the initial summer rains, but other than that, I don't know why I always miss it, and it's one of the things that I would really, really like to see. But, oh well, I suppose it just keeps me interested in looking for very, very big pregnant girls, so hopefully one day. Oh, talking about impala, here are two of them. Three. All the boys just... We're not too far from where we saw that first one just a while ago, so I am sure he found the rest of them and they've just been hanging around together. They are not too far from where that male lion is, so to me it's always interesting to see just how close they are to one another, predators and prey, constantly living in that balance of trying to spot each other before the other one does. The boys over here are quite spread out, and now that they've all mated, well, a few months ago with all the females, they will remain in these groups together until obviously the next mating season comes along, and then there are no friendships to behold. Let's carry on now and see if maybe we can get back to those cubs, hopefully doing more. Chris Brett asked if I like hyenas or honey badgers. I absolutely adore honey badgers. I was lucky enough to raise a honey badger in one of the jobs that I used to do here in the bush. Her name was Stinky because she was very stinky. But I absolutely love them. I think them and hyenas are some of the most clever creatures there are out in the bush. And I do enjoy hyenas quite a bit. I think Disney gave them a very bad reputation for nothing, but they are very smart. Having said this, I do not like them when they come into my house and eat all my stuff. That is not funny. I've had it a few times. I've lost boots like many rangers. I've lost cases of stuff, and well, the one time I had a fight with one that tried to open my window where I used to live. And then when I saw it, I just went and smacked the window and it ran away. And that night, it came back with a vengeance. So when I got back from my afternoon drive, it had gotten inside and chewed all my bread, all my camping stuff. It had vomited all over the front. It was horrible. It was horrible. So that particular hyena, I didn't like. But I'm sure you can understand why. There was a lot of bleach in my room that day. Lynn has just asked the eternal question. Which ones are cuter, lion cubs or leopard cubs? I don't know. I think it depends on their age. So the one that is younger will probably be cutest. But I can't tell. I've seen tiny little lion cubs and tiny little leopard cubs, and my heart just melts with either one of them. I am sorry, I am a girl, so I'm very susceptible to these things. But I can't answer that. I don't know. For the time being, I think I'm on Team Lion. I'm sorry. Right, lots of hair blowing into my mouth. It seems like not too many animals have come along since we did this road a little while ago. But I wouldn't blame them. I mean, they are pretty much, they would be sandwiched in between a male lion and a whole pride of lions. So I wouldn't be walking around here either. You guys are asking how I got all the way from Venezuela to South Africa, and I don't know if it was fate or by accident. So my story is a funny one. So when I was 14, I read this book, and this is a very corny part of the story. I'm really sorry. I'm going left, am I not? I read a book where this girl wrote herself a letter, just asking herself a bunch of questions, and then she would close that letter, and then she would read it 10 years afterwards. So, funny enough, I was already living here, and I had already moved to Africa when I found this letter. I have a box of stuff, of memories, that's just pretty much all my junk goes into. And I found this letter, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. So I got it, and then the first question in that letter was, have you been to Africa yet? I showed it to my mom, and she was like, you see, I had no hope. You were going to go anyway. So when I initially decided to come, I was about 22, and I was working in the local municipality in the Citizens Advice Bureau. Sounds very big, but it was very boring. And I didn't particularly like it. So I heard about this thing about coming to volunteer in Africa in a wildlife rehabilitation center. So I decided to try it out and then just leave it behind. I was also not in a very good place emotionally back then, lots of things going on. So I was like, you know what, this is what I need. I'm just gonna go to Africa, which I did. My boss from back then to this day, he still looks at me and he was like, you ditched me for lions, how could you? I'm like, they're lions, come on. But so I came here, and I was only supposed to be here for about 3 months. And again, like when they handed me off that baby rhino, and I saw that this country offers everyone the opportunity to be involved somehow in the guiding industry or anything else, I just couldn't go back. I just had to stay here. Oh, well, hello, somebody's letting us through. Okay, sorry. Hello, how are you? All right. So yes, I was here for about 3 weeks before I phoned home and I said, I'm never going back. I think the word my mom used on the phone that the whole of Africa probably heard, she just told me I was demented. But then she came here and now she loves it just as much as I do. So that is pretty much how it happened. And then I was working in this rehabilitation center, and I convinced the owner that he needed to give me a job. He just had to, because I was going to do a good job. I still don't know how I pulled that one off. But I ended up working there for about a year before I left and then joined the field guiding program in one of the lodges. And that's pretty much how I stayed here. I did try to go back to the real world at one point, and I went and studied and did my master's in conservation for a year in the UK, wanted to see how living closer to home would be and everything else. And the minute I finished that master's, I came back running to the bush. I just couldn't do a city anymore. It's too noisy, too much traffic. I prefer this type of thing. So that's pretty much how I got here. It wasn't very articulate, but life has a way of, you know, doing things certain times. Okay, don't think this is where we went in, or was it? I think it was further down the road. Sorry, we're just starting to find the two track that's going to lead us back, but I have a feeling it was a bit further down the road, if I'm not mistaken. Lots of tracks around here. No, I think it was over here. Yes, here it is indeed. Let me just do this quickly. And there we go. Let's see what they've been up to. If the vehicle cooperates with me. Alright. Okay, there is a big hole here. It's not my driving skills. It's just unavoidable. Always a bit of effort before getting to our final reward. We are slowly approaching. Okay, well, it seems like at least one of them is a bit more active. I'm not too sure how we're going to get around. I think what we're going to do is just go around here. I think it's going to be the easiest way to have a look at what's happening. Hello. All right. I apologize for the complication. But there we go. It seems like the wait paid off, and maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 of the cubs are now busy feeding on the carcass. And one of them is slowly going back to mom. So these tiny little ones, they will still, we saw them earlier, they were still suckling, still getting milk from their mothers. But when they're about maybe 2, 3 months old, and they also get introduced to meat, because now they need to grow a lot quicker and a lot stronger, so they need to supplement their diet, which is what they're doing now, to eventually be weaned off the milk. They won't have any more milk when they're maybe about 6, 8 months old, and they'll just eat meat. And by the eagerness that they're feeding with, I don't really think it's a problem for them. They seem pretty excited. Oh, look at them fighting. Such a bad temper for such a little creature. You see, from a very young age, they learn that they need to fight for their food. Even if they are social cats, when it comes to food, they don't like sharing. And I am sure you can hear all the little ones just growling at each other because they all want to get onto that same part and feed off of it. What is interesting is this is the miniature version of exactly of how they're going to be. Oh, look at that. I must say, this is the most fierce battle I've ever seen between cubs for food. They are behaving exactly like big male lions would do, or adult lionesses, just fighting for their food and trying to ward each other off from that particular piece of meat that they're eating. Look at all that growling. It is incredible and kind of funny sometimes. You see those two that are busy fighting. They are so adamant that they both want to feed from that spot. Yet there is a whole buffalo to share. But I guess it's a case of they just really want that one piece that its sibling is having because that's the tasty one. We're not too different in between species, I don't think. I think this female is just getting a bit annoyed by that branch there, and she's tried to pull a few times, so maybe what they want to do is actually move or expose a bit more of other parts of the buffalo to be able to feed on other parts. Let's see if she helps them around, or if she's going to be the big boss and tell them off. That's a vocalization by the cubs. They're making a lot of noises, probably just trying to get all the females to move around, or just showing that they're not happy about the situation. Ah, here's a little troublemaker. We're gonna let these little guys here settle their dispute and see who wins, but in the meantime, let's go back to Brent and see what he can show us.
The light is just so fantastic at the moment that I'm feeling like climbing, and I'm going to try and get you a lovely view of the sunset. Oh, look at that, that's so gorgeous, so gorgeous. I just had to make a bit of extra dust for ambience. Here we go, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that absolutely exquisite? Another beautiful end to the African evening. And I told you, it was so beautiful I had to climb the biggest termite mound on the whole of Arathusa and Djuma. And it happens to be right near where the sun is setting. Isn't this just absolutely exquisite? I'm on top of the world, literally. Well, we're not very high here, we are in the low veld, but just look at that. I can just make out the Drakensberg Mountains in the haze. What a splendid evening it is to be out on a live African safari. Now, descent, it always seems to be a problem for me, and I think I was going to try surf this one. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just come down like a sensible human, or not. There we go. Now, this is the biggest termite mound that I've seen on Djuma and Arathusa. The only place that's got bigger termite mounds is Cheetah Plains. So unfortunately, it seems like they haven't been able to find Shadow. She's living up to her name and disappearing into the shadows. Maybe on tomorrow's sunrise safari we'll have a little bit more luck. It's just the light is gorgeous from this smoke. Our bed says Brent of the Bushveld. Well, strange enough, while I was at school, after having a school in the bush and having to go to normal school, my nickname quickly became Mowgli or Tarzan most of the time. So that's what my 5 years at high school I was known as, mostly Mowgli. Wasn't quite buff enough to be Tarzan. So we're going to start slowly heading back towards Djuma. Ali is with the Nkuhumas and on that buffalo carcass. And I'm wondering, I actually saw the tracks and I'm hoping that that third male might get up and start moving towards the rest of the pride. Now, I haven't seen all 4 Birminghams together for a long time, and I'd be really excited if tomorrow on the sunrise safari all 4 were present. We've got 3 accounted for, and we had 3 the other morning. And I haven't heard, actually I might ask the guys in the West Champ if the other Birmingham's not with the Styx Pride down to the west of Cheetah Plains. Now, well, as fun as it is driving around with myself and Zander, who am I to deny you gorgeous sunset coupled with Africa's biggest cat?
James, you were asking earlier if the sunsets in South Africa are the prettiest ones, or actually I think you were telling me that, and by the looks of this, I think you are absolutely right. This is an incredible sunset with Africa's biggest cats just putting on a show for us. The cubs eating, fighting with each other. One of the females there just keeping an eye out, making sure that they don't get a bit too hectic. It's, yes, I think this sunset just won by like 1,000 brownie points, no doubt. They've come and they feed and they fight a little bit just to remind each other that they're there, and then off they go. And it did seem a bit earlier on that the female wanted to come and feed, but maybe she's just letting her motherly instinct kick in. She does seem to be very full herself, so she's just probably just letting the cubs have a bit of a feed before she goes and has a bit herself. Seen 4 cubs feeding, but I'm pretty sure they're all around here. Then we've got one of the cheeky ones from the back, which I think was the one fighting earlier on, just approaching. Let's see if he tries to go in and tries to feed a bit more. Ah, look at that wind. The wind is picking up here quite a bit, as you can see now, with all the branches of the trees moving and all the dust flying around. I do wonder if this is going to bring the next cold, hopefully the last cold front of the season. Do you see, the wind normally makes animals very nervous. The 3 lionesses have got their heads up now, just smelling around, seeing what's happening. As obviously the wind can mask the sound and the smell of any other approaching animals. Oh, she's calling. It's hard to hear. There's a little brave one walking away. Gracie, age 9, wants to know why lion cubs fight with their moms for food. I would say that it's not a particular thing against their moms. Lions in general just fight for food. They are fighting with each other. They're not fighting. And starts feeding herself. But having said this, I have seen them before where the mothers just come in and then just tell the cubs that they've had enough, and then they get in and then they start feeding. Look at that tiny cute little face. You see, the wind makes them also a bit nervous, so they probably won't go too far away from the adults just to keep safe. Talking about that, there's a female that she's got her head right in there, probably looking for more meat. Because they haven't taken the skin of this buffalo yet. Oh, there she is. Maybe she's trying to do just that. And just access the other points of meat. Sure, you can see the leaves at the back moving around. Lots of wind that has just picked up, and the sky is all of a sudden covered in clouds. So I wonder what this means for us. It seems that a dust storm has just caught Brent. So let's go over there and see what that feels like.
This is really uncommon weather for this part of the world. I'm going to try and get onto Impala Plains to show it to you, but I'm battling to see. And you can just see how the colors changed. I mean, look towards the sun, there's just this wall of dust. I mean, I turned around as I got off that termite mound, and I thought, is that rain? And I was like, it can't be rain. I literally have a coating of sand across my eyes at the moment. Just going to try and get to Impala Plains. You can just see. Yeah, look at that! Oh no, close your eyes! Oh. Now I have dust in my teeth as well. Crunch, crunch. Okay, one squall passed, let's try and get past the next one. Let me just get a bit... Oh, here comes the next one. I have put my... But look at this. Isn't that crazy? Look at that, that's all dust. It's a wall of dust coming towards us. You can see what it's doing. It's turning the sky an incredible color where the sun's setting. But I can tell you what, it's quite incredibly unpleasant sitting in it. No, my hat's going to go off. I need goggles. Hopefully if we get to that male lion, all he needs to do is lift his head in this wind and we'll get that wonderful wind swept. But speaking about lions, I think this dust storm is about to hit Ellies, so let's go have a look.
It seems that Brent has got the worst of the dust storm going around. We are still fairly protected by the bush and the termite mounds around us, and although the wind is visibly picking up, we're still not in the middle of the dust storm with dust up our teeth like he said he was. We are still just enjoying this very beautiful sunset that Africa is giving us today with the lions feeding on a buffalo. The female has now started feeding as well, and she's let some of the cubs move away, and some of them are still tugging in there just because they are too greedy to let go. Because if you look at their stomachs, they are looking pretty full. Although they do have to grow up to be super lions, so they probably need all the meat that they can get. Kevin, you are wondering if the white lions of the Timbavati are a myth. Yes and no. So the white lions are just like normal lions. They're not a different species. They just have a recessive gene that makes them look a lot lighter in color. They can mate and live in prides with the tawny colored lions that we're looking at. But they are very, very rare. So I'm not entirely sure of the dates, but I do know that up to the 1980s or so, I could be wrong, they were thought to be extinct in the wild. And because they were thought to be extinct in the wild, but they still have some of them in captivity, what they started doing was releasing them back in the Timbavati, which is another big game reserve that's adjoining Kruger National Park. So I know that at the moment there is a pride of lions. If I'm not mistaken, it's called the Russ Pride of Lions that has got a few individuals that are white. They have been mixing with some other lions in Kruger, and there's another big pride of lions close to the Labambo Mountains that has also got a few individuals that are white. So they are not a myth. They used to occur in this area. However, probably because of the color of their skin, they were more favored by hunters in certain areas, because in the Timbavati you can still go for trophy hunting. So I'm not too sure what is the reason that drove them to extinction, or in the wild at least, but they are not a myth. They are real. They're just busy starting to reintroduce them now into the wild. Very rare. Haven't seen one, but hopefully one day. In the meantime, these tawny lions that we are looking at are busy putting up a fight. So the two cubs that are still there definitely don't want to share. I wonder if they have eaten most of what's left of the backside of the buffalo, because they're being very, very aggressive about it. But what is interesting though is the one female is here, so she is obviously waiting, and she's gonna start feeding soon. And oh, you can hear them fighting still. And the other one at the back is probably just also waiting to go in there and then just try, I'm sure they're going to try to move the carcass and just get underneath where they still haven't been able to feed off. And there's another lioness at the back that we're looking at. There was another question earlier on about how lions get the blood and everything off their faces after they've eaten. Well, this is one of the ways they do it. They lick their paws and then they'll put them through their heads, and they'll start almost like combing their faces with their clean paws. Sometimes they also do this because obviously in this area where they walk there are a lot of thorns, a lot of spines, yes, little things that they need to try and get out, which is what I think she's doing now. And she's just trying to take whatever it is that is in between her toes or her pads and her toes, just trying to get it out of there because it's probably just uncomfortable. So you see, there she goes, getting very irritated, trying to take it out. This gives you a whole different meaning of being in each other's faces with this lion cub just pretty much almost sitting on top of the mom. Let's head over to Brent, who has got another lion of his own, and see what this one over there is up to.
So there we go. If you're ever wondering how a lion gets its perm, there we go. He waits for days like this and he sits facing the wind and lets the wind blow through his glorious mane. And then, of course, hair products will be all the dust that gets stuck in it to keep it nice and fluffy. It is beautiful. Now, if you look at his nose, oh, look at those eyes, all the scars on his nose. Now, if the Nkuhumas and the Birminghams did not have that buffalo kill, this would be ideal hunting weather. Debbie, you are spot on. The dust storm is definitely a product of the drought. You can get them in normal dry seasons, they're just uncommon. But I think it's been exacerbated by the lack of grass and the strong winds we've been experiencing. Now, if we go away from the lion for a brief second and we look towards Cheetah cut line, so towards the east, I mean, we are losing visual of our horizon slowly as this dust rolls in. Absolutely incredible. No, you're supposed to get up when it's cool and windy. You're not supposed to go back to sleep. Oh, there we go. Head in the bush. I was hoping he might get up and get moving towards the rest of the pride. Sleepy kitty. Well, it seems like the strongest gusts are over, but there seems to be a few more on their way. Now I wonder if this insanely strong winds are going to bring in weather as well. And it's going to be very interesting to see what it's like out on the sunrise safari. Sleepy kitty. So we've got 3 Birminghams accounted for. There's still one who could be on Djuma somewhere. I didn't hear of him being with the Styx Pride. So apparently everyone's getting incredible screenshots of the dust storm. Now, our long-time viewers, let me know, have you ever been in a dust storm before? Please let me know. Hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV on email. Have you ever experienced weather like this before while you've been watching Safari Live? It's definitely a first for me in the year and a half that I've been with Safari Live. And I'm trying to remember, I don't think I've had it in the Eastern Kruger before, but never in the Sabi Sands. Not to say it hasn't happened, I just might not have been around. And the temperatures dropped quite rapidly as well. So we're going to sit here, see if this big lazy Birmingham decides to do anything. While we do that, let's go back to Ali and the Nkuhumas.
We are still busy with the Nkuhuma Pride of lions and 4 of their cubs busy feeding on the carcass right now. Well, actually, I think it might just be 2 of them feeding and 1 of them moving around, because the 3 of them are just in between the 2 females that you guys can see right just to the left-hand side. It seems, however, that the cubs have stopped feeding as the females have now moved a bit closer to the carcass. That one that's just at the back, she was lying down, she was busy grooming herself, and slowly but surely she's starting to come this way, which is not making that female to the left too happy. Every now and again she'll start growling, so I'm sure it's to prevent the other females from coming and trying to feed off that particular part of the carcass for the time being. I think maybe what they've done is the cubs came in and they fed first, and now that they're done, well, it seems that the adults want to come in and have their share of the meat. She is busy hiding her whole head on what's left of the back of the buffalo, and I think she's now telling off that cub that I think you can just see the back, probably just telling it that it's had enough, it's their turn now. Does Seems like the one cub is still at the back, still trying its luck with whatever's left on the other side. You can just see it through the gap there, in between the bones of the pelvis of the buffalo. Oh, there he goes. There's a tiny little head there. On top of Mom, as usual. And off it goes. Ah, you see, she's got a nice big chunky part that she's trying to pull. So she's just got to be slightly careful. I have seen lion cubs before, unfortunately. When they try to feed on certain areas in between the bones, the one got its head stuck in between the bones and then couldn't get it out. You know, we felt sorry for it. It eventually was fine, but it was very, very funny to watch how greedy it was. Look at those two playing at the back. The one just came running and fully tackled it. I'm sure they've got full bellies now, lots of energy, so they've just got to spend it somehow. Look at that hug. Bernard, you would like to know if they will finish this whole buffalo. The case is normally so whenever a big pride of lions like this one brings down a buffalo, they will finish it in maybe 1 or 2 days' time, depending on how big the pride is. I would assume that they'll be here tomorrow morning, could possibly even be here tomorrow afternoon, but they will surely finish it. Just want to have a look at the cubs playing there at the back in between the branches of the trees. They've just been stalking and jumping on top of each other just to try and see which one's stronger. Even from such a young age, playing like this plays such an important part of what they are going to become. They need to develop all of their hunting techniques, all their fighting skills and everything else, and what better way to start than with all of your siblings and cousins and relatives. Too bad that they've chosen the one spot behind the tree. Now there's a very faint sound coming from the females. They're just busy making contact calls, which is a very low call that they make just to communicate with the other pride members. So maybe she's just trying to see where the rest of the lionesses are or where the rest of the cubs are. Look at these two little troublemakers. They're being very brave and walking away from the rest of the pride. Hopefully one of them will come and say hello to us. Oh, look at that. Still busy jumping around. I think that female is not going to tolerate a lot of nonsense from these cubs now that she's busy eating and her appetite is back. She is growling. Oh. Well, she was growling at them before she decided to tell this one or put it back in its place. I think it didn't like it. Obviously not feeling too happy about it, but as cats do, she was playing it cool, like that didn't happen. That was its intention all along. And the one at the back is just busy having a bath from its mother. Look at those paws going up. I'm sure he's not too happy. Whoop. No food for you. You've had enough. She is obviously not too happy that the cubs want to now go and eat at exactly the same spot where she is. You see, there she goes again. Ooh. Also telling another cub that he is not welcome there anymore. Hi Painted Wolf, you would like to know how many hyenas are needed to chase the lions. It is quite a big pride of lions, and we have 2 males around here and females that are going to be very aggressive to any potential predator that comes around the area, not only because they would like to steal their kill, but also because the cubs are at risk. So I would reckon you would maybe need more than 10 hyenas, or at least some 8 very, very brave, grumpy hyenas to come around here and try to chase them off. Sometimes what could happen though is if there were just a few hyenas around and the females felt that it was unsafe for the cubs, even if they weren't too aggressive, they could potentially just prefer to leave the carcass, seeing they've eaten a lot of it, and just move off onto a safer area. But it is very hard to give an exact number on how many hyenas we would need just to chase them off the kill. It seems like the little one in front got a fright from the face of the buffalo. You see, when we first started, they were so hot, just busy panting, barely moving around, and now that we have this nice weather, it's starting to get a bit darker. The appetite is back, they all want to play, and they're just a lot more active. Can't really blame them, the weather is much nicer now. They seem to be looking just away from us, and I hear branches every now and again, and I wonder if it's just the trees or if there are potentially any elephants not too far away from here. Not too bothered for the time being. You see, that female on the left, she has now started to use her paws to try and create some tension and then just pull some of the meat out and also try and get the skin away from the meat. Alright, it is getting a bit dark over here, so we don't want to spend too much time with the cubs as they're still very young, and we want to just make sure that they are safe in the company of their mothers. So for today, I am actually going to say goodbye to everyone. It was great meeting you all, and well, I hope to see you guys soon, and I hope you enjoyed the drive just as much as I did. We'll go back to Brent and see if he has managed to survive the storm and the male lion.
Look at that. We're sitting under a post-apocalyptic sky. It is absolutely incredible. I just thought we'd let you get some screenshots of that. I've already taken a few photographs. It's just too special with that Balanites tree, my nemesis tree, one I've fallen out a few times, and with that sky behind it, that the glowing embers of the sun disappearing with this massive dust and cloud rolling in. Absolutely spectacular. I think this is one of the times we're allowed to use the word that has been banned from Wild Earth and Safari Live vocabulary, but I think I'm pretty sure I can call this epic. Oh, there we go. Cecilia, does anyone have a kite to fly? Cecilia, I'm worried the kite you would take off and land in a thorn tree or on a Birmingham. So that Birmingham didn't move, so we're going to keep moving back towards camp. Now, I've purposely chosen this route, so I'm driving with the wind coming from behind me so I don't get all the sand in my eyes, which obviously doesn't make a difference because every time I turn around to talk to you. No, it's dialed down a little bit. Oh, just one more. Look at that. Oh, so pretty. Hey Teresa. Teresa's wondering who is leaving. She says a new person on trial means someone's leaving. No one is leaving, Teresa, don't worry. No one is going anywhere. We are expanding. So exciting things coming up in the future. Oh, elephants have been naughty. Let me help them. Just move that off the road. Oh, move it off enough that we can drive round. Now, what an exciting sunset safari it's been. I was very happy I found my elephants. That mating pair of leopards has been found to the north of our boundary. They must have snuck across during the day. And of course, you had that wonderful Nkuhuma cub sighting with Ellie. And I can't wait to see the screenshots of the lions, the kill, and that sky. I think they're going to be spectacular. I'm a little jealous I wasn't there with my camera. But very happy that Ali had such a great first drive. And it is always wonderful when we have new weather, even though it is a dust storm. It's quite exciting, something different. But hopefully it'll be gone by the morning. Enough. Last sort of 45 minutes, if you look at our lights on the side as I drive, you can just see the dust. That's how fast the wind is. It's actually going faster than I'm driving. But again, thanks for all the screenshots, the tweets, the questions. It has been great hearing from you. Tomorrow morning will, of course, be Commander Bond, James Henry, and myself out and about on Djuma, Arathusa, and Cheetah playing, seeing what we can find. Pretty sure the Nkuhuma Pride are going to still be around that carcass. They might meander down to Sydney's waterhole for an evening drink, but I'm sure they'll be back at the carcass during the day or during the drive on tomorrow's sunrise safari. I think I'm going to look for leopards. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Oh, Vernie, very clever Vernie. Vernie is spot on. This, you cannot get better. If you're a predator hunting, strong wind, dust and clouds coming in to make the sky dark. This is perfect predator hunting weather. So hopefully we can find Queen Karula on a kill on the sunrise safari. I'm hoping it's decided to stop being so so windy by the time morning comes. But as I said, fantastic afternoon out here. I do love being out on the bush every day and love being able to take you with. So it has been very exciting, and thanks for being so nice to Ali. She's a good girl. And Zanda and myself, we're very happy we found our elephants, lions, the zebras. Actually, we saw the zebras as we started, this dust storm started coming in, and they just took off. Every single animal that's not a predator is going to be jumpy tonight. And their heart rate is going to be sky high. But from Zanda, myself, and the rest of the Safari Live crew, it's been another beaut of an evening, and I'm going to use the word one more time. I think it has been epic. So good night for now, and see you tomorrow.